Yes. Hello there, Jim Dramatic here. Welcome to another episode of my Robot Wars episode reviews. We are on now Heat I. We have got out of the way of the spawn again heat, and now we're into. It's not bad. Some people underrate this heat. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think it's okay. But joining me today is, I guess, a glutton for punishment once again is Anderson9132.
Why do I do this to myself?
In fairness, you volunteered for this one.
I did. I have no self-respect, obviously.
Clearly not. You're talking to me, so your self-respect is obviously very high. And also, who has not been on these podcasts, I think, in at least the past 5 million years, give or take a century. It's great to have him back on here. It is Anthony from Team Penny.
Hello everyone. Yes, it is. It is half a century since the last time I've been on.
It's been too long, mate. It has been too long.
Good to have you back.
So, and the internet hasn't caught out me yet, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
Oh god, no. We don't want that happening.
No.
But this is the episode with the gold in it. And of course, I've changed my plan of doing these podcasts like this. I'm now starting doing the fight with the robots and also starting with the losers of the first round. And I thought I might as well get the least interesting one out the way, just because I can't remember a single thing it did in this entire fight. Reptirron the Second.
Yeah. I feel bad for this one because it looked so much better than the first one from Series 4.
Oh my god, yes.
There's some proper effort been put into this one, and it barely fucking did anything. I think your rule, Nancy, isn't your rule is it needs to move to be good?
It moved, so it's got a point. So that's the first point it got. It moved.
It moved barely, but it moved.
I mean, prior to that,
Terrorhurtz had a little bit.
prior to this, isn't this robot known for getting shagged by Pussycat and then getting flipped off, set on fire?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all it's remembered for prior to this.
Yeah.
I think it was the first robot to literally shit itself all over the arena, and yeah, and then it caught fire.
It
caught fire like mine does after a curry.
It doesn't look that bad. It looks a bit slightly less like a cabinet, like the first one, but it's still got that
it
chrome
looks
look.
more like a biscuit tin now.
Yeah, it worked as well as a biscuit tin.
And a lot shiner. I do like the fact that after the Pussycat incident, they didn't get a chance to do anything with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it had a flipper, a disc that it did spin at one point. I'm trying to find things to talk about this robot, but there's not much to go on because it didn't do anything.
It moved. That's what was it. It moved. I'm gonna say it was the drive chain. If you look really closely, you can see that the chains on the drive system isn't really working. It's like jamming.
Yeah, it's just
like if you look very closely, you can see through the polycarb that the chain drive isn't working.
Yeah, everything was going wrong with this robot. Thankfully, at least in the future version, Series 7 version, we actually do get to at least it do something, and also get past the first round. You know. Small mercies. Small mercies, but yeah, unfortunately, this version of Reptirron, it did more than Sabretooth.
Oh, that's very true.
Because I don't think Sabretooth did anything in this fight apart from getting attacked by Terrorhurtz.
It sort of moved.
Yeah,
it half a point.
The problem was Sabretooth was very tired.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Tired. Come on. Because a wheel on it. A wheel.
Oh,
imagine, right? Turn up to Robot Wars and your weapon's a wheel. Like, genius. So woke, it's unreal.
Okay, here's a question, because I'm a bit confused. Did they actually have a disc on it, or did they just show up with a tire?
It had a disc, but apparently it broke. I guess during the qualifying.
End of a bike. I see. So they decided to stick the back of a bike onto it then.
Yeah, I guess. And
yeah, basically the idea was obviously the discs span at quite a hefty speed. So what they did was they put the idea was put a wheel on the front of it, and then that should allow it to get with the, because obviously they use the same motor, the power of the disc to power that wheel. It should have gotten them a much higher top speed, and it was meant to give them lots and lots of pushing power. But the problem is, I don't know if you guys have tried to. I used to ride BMX quite a lot, and if you rammed the front wheel into something, it didn't push it. You went arse over head and flew over the handlebars.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me.
Yeah, I don't think it would have worked.
No. No.
And this would actually
But-
start the long trail for Gabe of Fs. I mean, first round they lost. Who did they lose to in Series 5? I can't even remember.
Evolution.
Evolution.
That wooden tank thing.
They lost to the
Oh
wooden tank.
yeah.
They barely functioned in this round after having no weapon either. They had to pull out of Series 7 because their weapon was apparently too fast or something. And in Series
I
8,
think it was. Yeah, it was. The spinner was impressively powerful, but it was they said it was too dangerous or something, and they weren't able to get it to be less powerful enough in time, so they weren't allowed to compete. Which is a shame because it looked really good.
It did
To
look
be fair,
good.
the Series 7 version looked really, really nice. Like design wise, it looked really nice.
Yeah, I mean, and the Series 8 version, they brought a robot without a self-righter in.
Like, oh
Like in
yeah.
a fight with Eruption, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, no, it did, but the self-rider didn't work that time. It was sleeping.
Yeah, and then it took them until Series 9 to get past the first round, then they get shagged by Aftershock. So it was, and then they actually did okay in Series 10, so it was like they finally got one consistent series, I suppose, but Sabretooth is just kind of doomed. Like, it even couldn't even make it into BattleBots because of COVID restrictions as well, which was sad. So nothing really works out for this robot, does it?
And then it became Jackpot.
True.
I mean, apparently its strengths on according to its little box thing is fast and agile. I'd love to see where it went fast.
Weakness is thin armor.
Hmm.
Okay.
I don't think it's the armor that's the problem. But
Well, it gets half a point for moving and half a point for effort.
yeah, they at least went in with a damaged robot and went, Joe, what? Fuck it, we're gonna try anyway. And it went as well as I expected in a fight with Terrorhurtz.
Yeah,
but you know
it
what?
worked. Oh god.
There are robots that have done worse in this series, so you know, I'm looking at Dr. Fist or something, which probably spent the entire fight in the corner.
We don't mention that thing.
Oh,
Okay?
I'm very
we don't
sorry.
mention it.
I'm very until we
I've
get to the
only
new bloods. Until the new
I've
bloods.
only just come off of the antidepressants after the last time I heard its name. Cheers. Cheers. Thanks.
Do you want me to depress you a little bit more, Anson, while we're here then? All right, should we talk about Corkscrew then?
Oh fucking hell!
If there's a top 10 tragedy of Robot Wars, I think this is one of them.
I know it's very rare that a robot sinks into the pit the same way my heart sinks when seeing it go in there. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
They
so
did
depressing.
damage.
It was so good.
They ripped a side panel off Panic Attack. They ripped a wheel armor off Kronic, and then Kronic happens to be near the pit. They're over the pit and dead.
The other thing that I noticed what Corkscrew did as well, it also damaged Rock.
Yes.
Yes, it did. It cut the fuel line, I believe, didn't it? Which meant it actually immobilized it from self-righting.
Yeah, because there's no way that flip from Kronic caused that damage. So.
Oh no, Kronic did not cause that.
Yeah.
And...
Though I did appreciate Corkscrew saying the pit. I just love the fact that he had his little bacon buddy.
Yeah, the jam roll. Yeah.
I mean, I missed the kilt a little bit.
His humble pie. Yeah. I like, wasn't it something that it was like if they put the kilt on, it was going to be overweight?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think somehow a
If I
kilt
could
had
recall.
too much weight to it.
For one of the most promising newcomers of Series 5, and it just goes, and then it doesn't do anything in Series 7 either. Because Corkscrew 2 was a thing.
Poor Corkscrew too.
Yeah.
But what I will say though about this is, I mean, yeah, I mean, first of all, let's be real here. If Corkscrew hadn't gone down the pit, they would have won this fight with Kronic. Panic Attack was actually kind of murdered by it in the process and wasn't working very well, and you see that later on. We'll go over that a little bit later when discussing Kronic, but yeah, but also the the thing that I will say though is fair play to Kronic for realizing what the dangerous robot was and getting rid of it as quickly as they did. They were like,
yeah.
they were like, yeah, fuck that, son, you're going down. Goodbye.
No.
Messing
No
with
more.
that.
Yeah.
Those crafty Devoners. Is that what they're called? Devtonian? I don't bloody know. No one wants to admit they're from Devon. So
Freaks?
anyway,
I don't know. I don't know.
Cornwall's better. Just saying. Oliver's going to kill me for that, but
I will. He will. Yeah, the end of Corkscrew was as quick as it started. I think it lasted a whole 20 seconds, 30 seconds before it was in the pit.
I know. Such a shame. But unfortunately, and this is actually something as well I would like to say as well is this heat kind of made me glad that although I love the classic days, of course I do. It made me glad that we do these days have redemption rounds or fight cards, or something like that, where every robot gets at least a second chance to prove itself. Because
Yeah.
seeing Corkscrew go down the pit the way it did sucked. Seeing both Sabretooth and Reptirron The Second barely bloody work in their fight kind of sucked as well. It would have been nice to have actually seen them try and do something. So, as much as I love the classic days, I do think that the modern way of doing things is superior.
Here's a
Yeah.
question for you: if Corkscrew had have made it, continued to make it, wouldn't it have been a very fun fight to see Terrorhurtz take on Corkscrew, like to see the two of them fight each other? That would have been a very interesting
Oh, I would love
Yeah.
that. I still
That
think
would have been a
Terrorhurtz
good
probably would
fight
have.
to see the two of them.
I'm still going Terrorhurtz with that, but it would have been a better fight.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me.
Yeah, if I was going to say one thing, I know people would be like, "What? Why?" I would have said Corkscrew.
Well, let me be the difference maker here. I think personally, it's difficult because obviously Fluffy absolutely. I mean, it gave Terrorhurtz the willy in Series 5, so you could argue that it is weak to spinners, but at the same time, there's not a lot of Corkscrew for Terrorhurtz to hit, but Terrorhurtz in Series 6 did have that very, very meaty anti-spinner front on it. And I think if they drove at Corkscrew well enough, they'd just knock it over and it would fall onto its side. So I'm going to go with James on this one. I'm going to say I think Corkscrew would lose and I think Terrorhurtz would have won.
It would be a good fight either way, though.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been a fantastic fight. That would have been absolutely amazing to see.
Instead, we've got Panic-Zack versus A-Kill. Yay! Oh, well.
Yay! The best fight ever. The worst robot version of one robot versus a robot that can crush a strawberry, I think. It's not even confirmed if it can. We never saw it do it on camera, so we can't even prove it.
Because we don't even know that.
Well, you can see the remains of a strawberry on the spikes.
I was going to say, yeah, that had to be, surely. Wouldn't it be great if that was the strawberry that they squashed and you didn't bother washing it off afterwards?
Yeah, no, keep that.
It's not the blood of the victims, it's just strawberry jam.
I did love the fact that Terrorhurtz were terrified of them going, they've got a spinner. We don't like
Oh no, the plate
spinners.
that was on them.
And then you see them fight. You're like, oh god. I'm still trying to figure out like what was the idea behind the spinner.
Yeah, we bypass the rocks then.
We'll do A-Kill first. We talked a lot about A-Kill is, and might as well be the section for it, I
We
suppose.
may as well continue. Yeah, that spinner was just two bin lids stuck together, wasn't it? Let's be real now. Well, what I think's quite funny is it's something I like about robot combat as well. JP mentioned in this that the most expensive thing on the robot was the paint. The fact that it was painted kind of shocked me alone because it doesn't look very like there was much paint on it, to be honest. But there we go. But apparently everything else on the robot cost less than £10. I don't think that's total. I think that's like each individual bit cost less than £10.
Sorry, wasn't this like a middleweight version like they were in Series 3?
Yes.
Yes, it was the same one, and it
So,
leads
did
me.
they beef it up or?
It's like they just slightly scaled up their middleweight, and it was about as powerful as their middleweight. Although it does lead to a bit of confusion with this robot because, right, they entered Saw Points, but they're not related
not
to
the
the
Series
team.
4 version,
No,
the Series
they failed to
7
qualify
version.
for Series 4, ironically. And then they failed to qualify also with Saw Point in this series, but ended up with A-Kill getting in. And then Saw Point 2.
A-Kill get in, but Saw Point didn't. That's what I want to.
Did you see the original Saw Point, in fairness?
Yeah, but I don't know. It looked cooler. I think that double crusher beak looking thing looked really cool, personally.
I suppose, but it's just so funny that didn't make it in. But this did.
You also seen it as like it's a tax robot. That'll be great. That's how good the
Yeah, the axe was so
axe
beautiful.
is. Oh.
Oh, the bit
It did-
is. Oh,
I mean,
I've
It
got.
did lead to one of my favourite JP quotes ever as well,
Hmm.
where in its fight against Panic Attack, when it just taps it on the top, and it's like, what is that? That's not a weapon. What is that on top of a? Oh, it's a mighty mace. No, it's a horrendous hammer. No, it's a stupendous slicing cutty thing. No, it's nothing, boys, isn't it? Let's be real.
All right, I've got to ask you a question now, Anson. Very
Go on.
important one. Which is worse axe? The axe on A-Kill or the axe on the Iron Mask?
Oh, bloody hell.
The battle of the shittest axes in Robot Wars.
Oh, well, I mean, this one we know can crush a strawberry. We don't know that the Iron Masks could, so I'm going to say A-Kills. What I also want to say, though, and this is genuine, I know it's a crap robot, but I love A-Kill, just because the team obviously know it's crap and they just don't care. And I think it's hilarious. They literally, their weakness is Captain. I'm not even joking. That's genuinely
Yeah.
their weakness.
It's
On their
tough as old
statistical
boots
form.
as well, according to its strength.
Absolutely fantastic. And one thing that does it does kind of irritate me a little bit, but at the same time, I think it's kind of fun as well, is that in techno games, these guys were brilliant.
Yeah, they
Because
were.
they made Whiz Bang and then Mini Whiz, 2-time cyclist gold medalists, and they were also gold medalists in the swimming event for the last series of techno games. So why couldn't they make a good fighting robot?
I don't know. It's like how the Reptirron team have ARG, you know,
Yeah,
and yet
what the hell?
their heavyweights never really went anywhere.
That amazing featherweight, and then they go, oh yeah, we've got a biscuit tin with a lifter on it. Lovely, fantastic. Make a heavyweight ARG, you idiots.
A-Kill's also really funny because they actually took down weight on the robot to put weapons onto it, and it didn't really work out.
Problem is,
the other bit, the other bit I do like the fact is that the team captain actually put an ad in the newspaper.
yes, for a driver.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Sorry, I like. I really wish that like more Roboteers would do that. You know,
Outsource your driver.
help wanted.
Need one to survive past first round. I mean, apparently this thing can go.
Need someone else to blame if Robot mad.
Yeah. Couldn't the guy drive it himself? I don't understand. He built it. How can you not drive?
It's too
I'm
complicated.
confused.
It's got a spinner and an axe on it. It's too complicated.
Honestly, that was its main problem. It has twister syndrome, I like to call it. I mean, they put 3 weapons on it. It just no. Use the weight and the power source for one really good weapon. Don't put 3 really shit ones on there and hope it works.
It's very classic for Twister, isn't it? It's better than Twister because Twister still sucks. Yeah, I can't really fault this thing. I love it mostly because of the team, to be honest with you.
And it moved.
Oh yeah, and it moved,
And
and
it
it
moved.
actually worked. It kept
And the
working.
team were, yeah. I do like the fact too. The reason why I like it is it's kind of like from my way of building things. It's like, what can I build out of? I'll build it out of spoons and forks. That'll do.
It probably has spoons somewhere in its construction. It wouldn't surprise me. I know I hate bringing this name up again,
Yeah, we've seen it.
but it's kind of like it's exactly the same as Spam to me. It's a robot. Although I like it more than Spam. I'm not going to say I like them the same, but it's the same description as technically it functions, but it does absolutely nothing. Yeah, it works
Love that
perfectly
Anderson's
fine.
went quiet. Anderson's having PTSD moment.
I'm just saving myself the aneurysm, in all honesty.
No, it's fine. No, we'll move on to rocks then in that case, because we did forget about them somehow.
Poor rocks.
I mean, I said this in the last episode, but at least it isn't the Series 3 rocks.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
That's the best thing you can say about it, but
it's not that. It's not that bad. Although I've got to admit, it has like no armor on it, which is a massive problem.
Yes.
I mean, that's the whole reason it died.
They definitely went for looks over protection. Really, a lot of robots do. They'll build this really cool looking robot with a really big weapon on it, and then they'll realize, oh great, we're 100 kilos and we've got no armor. Fantastic.
There's a load of holes in this thing.
Yes.
Like drilled into it, and actually, I noticed something in the fight as well. In fact, it did a tiny bit of damage to Kronic. It did something. It didn't like pierce them, but it did like crumple it a little bit.
Yeah, bent the flipper slightly. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Which
one
is
thing,
fair enough.
Is
The
that
other thing that it did as well that I noticed is it actually pulled their top self-righting flipper.
Hmm.
They couldn't retract it because rocks had grabbed onto it. So they did that damage, and they're doing pretty okay
Yeah, the biggest problem with crushes
until
around this time of the year, this series for me, is that there weren't I mean, outside of Razor and Tiberius, there weren't really like no, the crushes really kind of held a candle to them.
Mm.
And Rox isn't that kind. I mean, there were a few more in Series 7. You had Pincer as well, and there's Kraken as well, but
Yeah.
they're in that same category of slightly forgettable crushes. Although I've got to admit, it is nice to see them come back after all these years. Because last time we saw
Oh
Rox,
yeah,
they were in pinball.
in Series 3.
Yeah.
Yay. And I think they even intended to enter the reboot as well. Actually, believe it or not.
Yeah,
yeah,
they did.
something like that up on Twitter.
Yeah, the robot was called Forsetti.
Rossetti. And it had a yellow wheel.
That's all we know of it.
That's all we know of it. Yeah.
One day they'll show the machine or pictures of it. We can only hope.
But as a robot, it's fine. I mean, again, the lack of armor is its, and even in Series 7, it didn't really improve on this either. I mean, it got past the first round though, which makes it the only time I think it ever got past the first round.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So, and then it got
What I think is awesome is they've got a pair of crutches for Streamax.
I think they were like, damn it, run out of stuff. Quick, get Grandad's crutches.
You just see some old bloke in a chair go, "You bastards!"
There actually was one bit in the fight as well. I don't know what happened here, but after they let go of Kronic and before they were flipped over, like it looked like they were stuck on, like something got stuck underneath and were like, on one wheel
Yes.
trying to move.
That was Kronic's tire panel, the protective
Ah.
panel.
Hmm.
They got caught on top of that. Panic Attack actually put them on top of Kronic's damaged panel.
Oh, that explains it. 'Cause I wonder what they were stuck on. I wonder if it was like something had just got loose or something in the robot.
And
'Cause
then
that wouldn't surprise me.
Kronic seen their opportunity and was like, "Nope, you busted our flipper, so we're gonna flip you now."
It is a shame because you know what? Again, I mean, we'll go over it a bit more when we talk about Cornic, but R.O.C.S, in my opinion, only lost because Cornic picked it first over Panic Attack.
Yeah.
Imagine
Yeah.
if they flipped Panic Attack because they do later on in the fight. They flip Panic Attack over. Imagine if they'd done that first. I mean, that would have been one, a huge upset. Two, we would have been saved some shit. And three, I mean, I'd argue R.O.C.S is actually more interesting to look at than Gold Panic Attack, but I'll
Yeah,
discuss that later.
I agree with it. I mean, it doesn't have the psychedelic colours of the original Rox robots, but
But I like this sort of grungy Mad Max look it had. I actually quite liked it. I'll be honest. I remember ridiculing it in the last episode, but obviously I watched this heap in between now and then. And yeah, I was genuinely surprised. Like, oh, actually, R.O.C.S is getting in on the action. It's going in on the attack. It looks decent. It's actually a pretty solid machine, considering, especially again, considering their previous two entries. So fair play.
it's kind of like if Team Death made a functional robot.
Well, yeah, but big emphasis on the word "if" there, old boy.
Yeah,
but,
well, they made Batalis was like their closest to being functional.
it lasted 4 seconds.
Yeah, but the robot worked longer. I mean, I don't think any of the robots worked as long as that. Oh yeah, and also I always have to remember this. R.O.C.S. I love really pointless acronyms like WASP and SMIDSy, and this is Radio Operated Combat System. It's still going with that. Still going with that name.
I'd argue, yeah, that's the thing, because there was never R.O.C.S, R.O.C.S 2, R.O.C.S 3. It was always just R.O.C.S. It was always
Actually,
the exact.
Well, R.O.C.S 2 was the pinball one, and then after that they just went back to R.O.C.S again.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
There you
R.O.C.S,
go.
R.O.C.S 2, then just R.O.C.S again, and then R.O.C.S. Although it was funny, they actually failed to qualify R.O.C.S 3 in series, yeah, in another series entirely. So I just find that so funny to me. It's like I don't know what their numbering system is. It's like those, it's like all those like movies like Final Destination, and they get to the fifth one, and it's the Final Destination.
Yeah.
Call it R.O.C.S.
Imagine if they call the next film John Rambo. Oh, wait.
Wait, hold on. Well, I guess we'll move on to. Actually, we've mentioned it enough times already. We'll move on to Kronic 2, shall we?
Yeah.
Looking
I
more
love
and more like
Kronic.
Apollo now. Obviously, not as much yet, but it's got the Apollo look to it already. I love the look of this version. a lot.
The face looks very derpy.
Yeah, the face does a bit more
It doesn't. They're trying to do. It looks like it's meant to be snarling, but it's more like, "Hi guys, I'm here to flip you now."
That's just terrifying, man.
Oh wow.
I always forget this
And
version has 2 flippers.
yeah, that was very unique. I like the uniqueness of that.
It's a cool looking robot, Kronic. I mean, it's one of those robots I always kind of wished was always did a little bit better. And
It is definitely a situation of the worst one did the best, isn't it, when it comes to Chronic? Because
Yeah, the
whilst I love
very
the Series
first
4
one.
version, it was their weakest one by a country mile, and unfortunately they never managed to replicate that success later on, which sucks.
What are you talking about? The one that failed to qualify for Series 3 was fantastic looking.
Oh, of course, yeah, that was, oh yeah, that barrel, yeah.
Destructosaur
Fucking
looking
hell.
ass.
Yeah.
It was fun to see it actually take on Growler. I was like, oh, okay, that was good to see it.
Yeah, it was always willing to have a go at least, you know.
Yeah.
It was always
And
in
I
for a
love the
fight.
foam spikes. I love the spikes on Chronic, that's always good fun.
Yeah,
You
it's
just
it,
see that star fall off it.
it always had the looks. That's the thing. Chronic always had the looks of an awesome robot. And then I mean, Series 7's the tragic one though.
Oh god, yeah.
It lost to Mighty Mouse.
Mios Dios.
Oh,
I remember watching that when it first aired as well. So I remember, because I was a big fan of Chronic as a kid. Like every time I saw it, I was like, "Yes, I want this one to win for a change." And then it meets Terrorhurtz. Damn it! Ah, well, you know, it was a good robot. Okay. And then the next year, I'm like, "Oh, this year it could actually give Thermidor a run for its money." And it's up against Mighty Mouse, guaranteed rematch in the Heat fight. Oh, it's out. What? And I was depressed. I hit clinical depression at the age of 10.
Like look at
the rage of Anderson began.
look at the robots it lost to, and then like one. It's almost like one of these things isn't quite like the other. You've got Thermidor 2, twice semi-finalist. King Bee Powerworks, former semi-finalist. Terrorhurtz, future grand finalist. Mighty Mouse. You know, I know which one I'd rather not lose to.
Technically a future grand finalist if you count the team. Yeah,
Technically, yes. Technically, yes. With a completely different robot, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that Ironside 3 was just a rip-off of Little Fly. We all know this.
Obviously, it
Oh
was.
yeah.
Oh,
They'll not admit that. Though. They'll not admit that.
But I think none of us have failed to mention the best part of this robot yet. They're from Beer.
Yes.
Yes.
I love Beer. The sticker on the back is always the best thing. Because
I didn't get that. I thought because for some reason I didn't hear things very well as a child. Misheard lyrics. I always misheard song lyrics, and same with. So I thought that I thought Stuart McDonald was saying from deer in Devon, not beer in Devon. So I just thought these guys were a bunch of pissheads, and they just put "I love beer" on the back of them.
They might have been, and we don't know.
But to be fair, they're from Devon, so it wouldn't surprise. They made it in a greenhouse. You can't tell me they didn't have a few cheeky bevs, you know.
I think after the amount of damage that poor Kronic got in this year, like, yeah, we're going to the pub after this. We'll deal with it later.
Well, I think the robot might have been a bit drunk as well because it moved for a bit. It was counted out, and then it just started moving a little bit again, like in its
I know what
Terrorhurtz
that
fight.
feels like.
Yeah. That's me after the yeah. When you're done in after the fourth round, but your mate wakes you up and you have a fifth one after. Yeah, no, it is a shame that it had to meet Panic Attack because again, not Panic Attack, sorry, Terrorhurtz in its Wake Up series because again, like this is a heat this could have comfortably won without Terrorhurtz in it. I mean, it proved it could take care of Corkscrew and did. Took out Panic Attack. I mean, A-Kill wouldn't have done anything to it. Reptirron and Sabretooth barely moved. It just sucked. It had to meet Terrorhurtz in the year where it finally actually did something.
Yeah, it's a massive problem. You know, it had to be against the hardest robot in this entire. Well, actually, I'd probably say apart from Corkscrew, it was probably the only other really good robot in this heat in terms of like actual winning capabilities. And yeah, I had to go against Terrorhurtz, sadly. Also, they are also another team that are guilty of doing this. They're just like R.O.C.S. They're guilty of doing this, changing their name all the time. Because it's Chronic 2 in Series 5 and 6, and they go back to Chronic. Well, technically they are a champion, because they do go into Apollo by proxy.
Well, don't they do really well in the live event, like the live circuit after Robot Wars? Like, they done really well.
I believe they did decent in the live circuit. Yeah, they were also in BattleBots, weren't they?
Well,
I
yeah,
think.
it was meant to be. I think it had to pull out for some. I don't really know what the exact reasons are, but
I've got to admit, it does. The version that Kronic we're going to use for the for BattleBots looks like the kind of simplification logo meme, where it just looks just slightly too simplified, and it also went for the weird
it looks
Thermidor 2
soulless.
mouth as well.
Yes. What is the biggest crying shame about Chronic, in my opinion, is that I think it evolved just a little bit too late. Because I mean, if they had we had Series 8 back then in like 2005, we would have had Chronic 3 in there, which was the one that went and won the UK Championship. That thing would have been that thing would have dominated this, or at least got. I mean, it would have made the grand final, in my opinion, probably.
It would have been a Bulldog breed situation where it finally would have got won a heat and actually done something.
Yes.
Although
it evolved just a little bit too late.
Yeah. Although you gotta admit the best version is still the original because it has word art Chronic the Wedgehog written on the side of it. So 10 out of 10 robot though.
And it has a little cupboard door for its flipper. Great.
which fell off. I still love the name
Little
Chronic the Wedgehog.
tried.
It's just a bit of a slight tragedy, but at least it's not a gold flat Panic Attack, who is the 8th seed and actually the 3rd seed to be knocked out in this series, behind Chaos 2 and Stinger. Although, yeah, just get out of the way. This robot doesn't look that good. It does not.
To be fair to Team Panic Attack, as they did say, it was built 2 weeks before
built 2 weeks before the event,
and they entered into the competition without being tested. So, yeah.
At least they knew it wasn't a great robot, which is also, in fairness, it doesn't perform terribly in this heat. Like, it does actually do okay.
Yeah, it does better than I remember it. I always remember that it didn't move, it didn't work. Then rewatching this episode, it was like it fought.
The biggest crime is the Series 7 version without its self-writer.
Yeah.
I think that's a bigger crime.
The Series 6 version, Panic Attack Gold, for me, I could see where Kim was going. Biohazard was really successful in America at this point. And I think he was trying to sort of bring that to Panic Attack. Panic Attack was already known for being flat and sleek, but he wanted to make it more flat and more sleek and more impenetrable from the sides.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it meant it could barely move because the skirts were too low, so it could barely move, and they didn't have like I said, because they built it so soon before the competition, they didn't even have a chance to really test it to make sure that wasn't a problem. And I'll give them credit. He knew it was rubbish. Fair play to him.
Oh yeah, he was honest. I'm not gonna get my crown back. Nope.
Yeah. It's
why.
why
Yeah, sure, why not?
It's why I don't feel too terrible making fun of this version. Like it was again. It's probably one of the worst panic attacks outside the Series 7 one. I think those two you can argue which ones. I would lean more towards Series 7. I don't know. It's just that lack of self-writer, but like it's not the worst. Like again, it's not a 3 stacks to heaven or situation or there are robots that have downgraded way worse than Panic Attack Gold ever did. Because it's still functionally Panic Attack at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just a bit slower than Panic Attack, and also the really chunky plastic-looking forks are a bit of a weird choice.
Yeah, like it's not me, is it? The prongs are too close together.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
It's almost as if it should just be a paddle, not an actual set of lifting forks.
Yeah, there's no impressive thigh gap of spikes there.
Impressive thigh gap.
They brought it back in Series 7 at least. Because Series 7 version at least got close to the actual Panic Attack, but like it's not peak Series 4 and 5 Panic Attack. But
the Series 7 one was, I do think, was the Series 4 or 5 version without the stream mech on it. It was literally a case of that. This was a completely new machine, and I remember because I spoke to Kim Davies about it at RoboNerd 2021, and I mentioned Panic Attack Gold, my friend. And he went, "Oh yeah, that thing." And he said, "Let's put it this way. After that fight, we took everything out of it that we could still use, and we put the rest of it in a skip and left."
That makes sense.
Fair enough.
yeah, it's not the best version, but again, I think it is overhated, the Gold Panic Attack, because you know, for what it's worth, it did alright. Although I've got it on camera, it doesn't. It looks less gold and more kind of a brown colour.
It does. It looks too brown.
It doesn't look
Or
gold.
bronzy, yellowy, horrible color.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing with Robot Wars, because a lot of robots look a different color because of the lighting. It's like General Carnage in Series 5. Apparently, that thing was gold. I am
Yeah.
sorry, that was silver. It was silver as far as the eye could see. There was no way that thing was gold. But then I saw a picture of it. I was like, oh yeah, it is gold. So why does it look silver in the arena? I don't.
I don't know.
It
Like,
makes me want to
really,
cry.
it's crazy that the lighting can mess up colors.
Yeah,
Well,
the lighting's not great.
That's why the UK live event seems such a ball ache to watch sometimes, because half the time you can't see what the hell's going on because of the lighting, and it was the same
Yeah.
sometimes in Robot Wars.
Yeah,
But yeah.
apart from that, it's really not that much different to regular Panic Attack, except just not as good. Although,
And I'll be honest, right? I'll be honest. I actually don't think any of the fights Panzak was in was bad.
oh, it fought
Even his
well.
fight against A-Kill, it was a bit dull, I guess. But you know me, I like my driving battles. I like tactical driving, and we got to see it do the thing where it picks something up, carries it, and dumps it in the pit. I can't complain at that.
Plus,
you
it
know?
was facing A-Kill in fairness as well.
Oh yeah, but you know, I think again that added to the charm of it. It was like watching two retired boxers fighting years past their prime. You're not watching it for a great fight. You're watching it for the fun of it.
For the nostalgic part, it's like, oh look, they're doing the thing. Cheer for them.
He did the thing.
He did the thing. Actually, also, I mean, one thing I have to mention
They're
is,
doing the lift.
like, top 10 Matilda moment. Completely
Oh, yes.
yeeting the top panel out of the arena. I mean, it was already coming half off because of Terrorhurtz anyway, because Terrorhurtz fucking shagged this thing in the heat final. It got, like, it was comfortably doing okay even in the first round when it got a little bit damaged, but then, yeah, Terrorhurtz went, you want a real fight? This is a real fight. And just pummeled the shit out of it. And then Matilda comes in and just rips the whole top panel off. It was slightly depressing watching a former champion go out that way, but it was also very entertaining.
Oh yeah. And then seeing a washing machine dropped on it.
Yeah.
And JP's reaction was like, no, not that for Panic Attack. No, you can't do. Because normally he was like, yes, drop zone. Even though he's like, no, you can't do it.
Now imagine if this had been the last time we saw Panic Attack.
Oh,
Imagine if
be
that was
honest-
the last time. That'd been
I'll be
brilliant.
honest, I wouldn't have minded.
Oh, no, I'd be
Viking
fine.
No.
I'd be fine with it. It was just funny.
however, I will say one thing. I did notice something when it comes to the final moment of Panic Attack with that. I had revenge on the house robots because it actually knocks out Matilda
Yeah, she
Does
knocked
it?
herself out.
in that hit. Oh yeah. So if you look very closely and rewatch and hits in the Panic Attack, obviously I was going like, oh my god, the panel got ripped off, holy balls, right? But if you will, it cuts from Matilda hitting the top panel of Panic Attack. Then it cuts to Shunt pushing Matilda away to get in to tag it up. So if you see that fight again,
Yeah, Shunt just comes in, like, kind of like casually moves Matilda out the way. Like, you weren't destroyed.
yeah, you see the link. You see a link pop out. Don't mind Matilda; she's just sleeping. Shunt, help! Yes, yes. Hold on, I'll back to the drop zone. Nobody's seen that happen.
No one saw it. No one saw it. No, the house robots are indestructible.
And
It's fine.
speaking of Shunt did technically get revenge on Panic Attack here.
That's
After
right.
all the years Panic Attack attacked it,
And
and finally he's like, mate, this is retribution. You're going on that drop zone. You're
And
getting squashed by
and
a
also
washing machine.
twice beat it in the sumo as well.
Yes.
Although
One of them a bit flukily, we must
a little
admit,
bit, but yeah, it was 2 wins, and
A win's a win, isn't it?
yeah, it's a win. Although I've got to admit though, Shunt was really getting underpowered because he couldn't even get through the top plate.
Sure, I love the moment when they're talking about like when Tara dunked it on the top panel, this tiny little dink on the top.
Actually, it also kind of came up in the Reptirron thing afterwards, where like there's all these chunks that Terrorhurtz took out of it, and there's like, oh, there's a little tiny hole that Shunt did as well.
We can see Philip going, yeah. Oh, bless him.
Bless him, he's
He
trying.
tried.
He's trying. He used to be really good in Series 3 and 4, and now he's kind of
Literally,
Yeah.
this episode showed me it's like, Shunt, you're a devastating axe robot.
sometimes a devastating axe robot. Actually, well, I guess we're talking about devastating axes. There's only one robot left to talk about, and that is Terrorhurtz itself, aka when it finally woke up.
The rise.
The rise,
The rise of Terrorhurtz.
because you got to remember for three
The
series,
rise from the ashes.
they were Terrorhurtz, and they went nowhere with that robot. One time, literally into the pit, and
That's Terrorhurtz, not Terrorhurtz, James.
I know, but I'm saying the past of it, you know. And then series 5, it got shagged by Fluffy,
Yes.
and
And let's be fair here, it barely beat Ming 3. It barely beat it.
oh, it did, yeah. Ming 3 was actually doing well against them.
Ming 3 should have won that fight. I'm sorry, it just should have done.
But series 6 is it's definitely its series.
Well, in the words of Craig Charles, because later on in the series, obviously you'll probably discuss it when you get to that episode in the semi-final, it beat Bigger Brother, very convincingly as well. He says, "Hey, look, you're an unseeded robot. You took out the second season." Dominic from the team says, "Well, there you go. That's why it's unfair that we're unseeded." At which point, he went, "Because your robot has been absolutely useless for 4 years. That's why."
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. I mean, they somehow got a 16th seed in series 4, which is still funny to me.
I know.
At that point, they hadn't won a single
Someone
battle.
should really make a podcast about the seedings of Robot Wars and how they should have been done. Someone should really do that.
Sounds original,
Someone has to get on.
Someone should make that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think Terrorhurtz, I think it axed every robot apart from obviously Corkscrew and R.O.C.S. Like, it went for everyone. Reptirron got shagged, Sabretooth got shagged, Kronic. Yeah, the axe was also not firing as well in the Kronic fight either. Which...
Yeah, because you could see the CO2 bust coming out of the valve.
Like, even after Sergeant Bash taking the whole back panel off him.
Yeah.
After he was done with Kronic, so I had to go for Sergeant Bash instead. Which is really
It was
funny.
more of them hitting Sergeant Bash going, oh crap.
Actually, I think, didn't JP or something describe Sergeant Bash as like a fearsome opponent when he's already been like flipped over and beaten in like multiple... Actually, he was beaten in series 2 against Panic Attack, so...
Yeah.
You know, he's not...
Well, is this more like the decline of Sergeant Bash coming up to the later season?
Oh god, yes. So at this point, Sergeant Bash struggled pushing robots across the floor. You know, it was a tired old thing at this point.
It meant he had lost his purpose in life.
Even to the point that the ref has to push him along.
Yeah. Well, Dietor's not around him, was he? He had kind of lost a purpose in a way. Really?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, Bash was all right in the early series but by the time Series 5 came along with robots getting more armor, and when of course with the the house with Matilda getting the flywheel and all that, and Kittlelot's claws getting bigger and better and everything, there was very little. I mean, a flamethrower was never really. It was more of a visual thing, and his pincers didn't really do any damage anymore. So it was kind of
if you wanted a robot to grab something and move out of the way, you have Growler.
Yeah.
You know, he was just faster and better than him.
You know, it's got to the point that it's got bad when RefBot has to push him along.
Yeah, it was like in the Annihilator with the Napalm.
Yes.
Getting pushed in by Sean. Oh, it's so embarrassing. But no, Terrorhurtz was just on point in this episode. Like to make you feel all the sadder in Series 7, where they they didn't make it in, even though they filmed some stupid thing, even though they knew they weren't being in the series, and didn't get a reserve in.
I think that was just more to rub it in. It's like, you're not getting in. But here, hold on, man. Stay there.
Hold it for a sec.
Don't get into the car.
Yeah.
Take it out. We're going to stick a camera in your face.
Look more sad for the camera. Oh,
why are you smiling? You shouldn't be smiling. Be sad.
But at least they gave Panic Attack a very funny end, I suppose.
Good God, did they do that? Yes.
Oh, it was brilliant. Top tier. Like, I know, again, it was a one-sided fight, but sometimes a one-sided fight can be really fun if it's just really entertaining. Yeah, it was a very easy time for Terrorhurtz. There wasn't really a point in this heat where it had any issues, I don't think, but it was definitely a powerful display, so I'm not going to complain about it, really. I like seeing a bit of power if it, if it is at least entertaining to watch as well, like a hypnotist thing or something, Nothing wrong with that. But, yeah, that kind of describes his heat, really, in a lot of ways. Terrorhurtz was the main selling point of it, whilst it's fun to laugh at Panic Attack. You know, it wasn't a bad heat. I don't think by all means it. I mean, it could have been improved by like Corkscrew getting through to the next round or something, and maybe some of the other robots being a bit more strong.
It also makes a very good video for what if. What if Corkscrew and Terrorhurtz met each other through this, or Kronic?
Oh.
Write it down. Write it down.
If only people did videos where they discuss what might have happened if things had happened in Robot War. Oh, wow. I guess it's going to be mysteries
really,
never known. Yeah.
That never
somebody
happens.
has to get on that like that. Like they have to.
They won't.
I don't
If
think
you're
anyone's
out
done
there
that yet.
listening, if you think you can do that, please do it. I beg of you. I'll put it on the list, Anthony. Don't worry. I'll put it on the list, mate.
Yay!
For you, mate, because I love you. Because I haven't spoken to you so long. It's great to finally have you back again.
I know I've come out of the shadows and finally I'm back in the community going, I'm gonna give you silly nonsense.
Yeah.
It's always great to have
we
you
wouldn't
back.
want it any other way.
Oh god, no. Silly nonsense is the aim of the game with this kind of show, really. But yeah, overall, this was, not the worst thing ever. I'm not going to rank it high in the heats, but I'm not going to call it an absolutely awful heat either. It's fine, you know. There's enough good stuff in it where I can at least say it's passable. Terrorhurtz is what makes this heat, really, but everything else is, there's some fun teams. You got Panic Attack, you got A-Kill, But yeah, that was Heat J. Heat J is next, which is, of course, the Dominator 2 heat, which, is actually not a little bit better of a heat this time, so, I'm not complaining. But also it has Hydra in it, which I do quite like, so not the BattleBots one, of course.
The other one.
The other Hydra, yes. But that will obviously, I don't want to give away too much about that heat, so we'll talk about that one at another time. But thank you to both of my guests for appearing on this podcast. Unless you haven't watched the previous one, for some reason you skipped this one. Anderson, where can we find you on the internet?
So I'm on the YouTube channel Anderson9132. I'm known for 2 shows on there. One is the Robot Wars Guru, where I do a bunch of videos about a show that's twice been cancelled because I really need to touch grass. I also do a Family Robot Wars series, sort of. It's been in hiatus for a long time. I mean, I'm planning on a comeback, but whether it happens or not, I'm still not too sure. But yeah, just find me in there. If a fat bloke from Britain moaning about robot combat seems like your cup of tea, go watch it.
Sounds like and also he makes some what ifs as well. So
yes, I do what if situations as well, where I discuss what I thought might have happened had something changed in the series of Robot Wars. In fact, actually, one of those is coming out Wednesday next week. So
stay tuned. Stay tuned, folks. And Anthony, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on the YouTube channel Team Penny. I'm restoring Eric from the classic Robot Wars. Hopefully should be on the channel soon. But yeah, that's where you can find me on YouTube.
But yes, thank you folks for joining me for this episode. It's been great. And also thank you to my guest, Anson9132.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to go drink myself to sleep.
Brilliant stuff. And Anthony from Team Penny.
Thank you, everybody.
Right, see you later, folks. Bye.